Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start this police board meeting and reconvene in open session. If I could have a mover and a seconder to move into open, moved by Carl, seconded by Karen. Please show your agreement by raising your hand. Thank you. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And I would reflect that what I have learned from Indigenous people is that our relationship to the land should be one of stewardship, not ownership. And I'm honored to make this journey with them. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest to declare? Seeing none, I would ask the board to turn their attention to the consent agenda item. And if they would like any topics removed into the regular agenda. If not, we will deal with them with one motion. It's 7.1 through to 7.6. Tony?
I would make a motion to pass the consent agenda as is.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Rosita, would board members please signify their support by raising their hand? That is carried. Thank you, colleagues. Any business arising from the minutes? We have received correspondence. Are there any questions or comments on that? Police Services Board report. And then we get to Chief of Police reports. 11.1 policy recommendation. It's race-based data collection strategy. And this will require a motion, colleagues. And Chief, do you want to kick this off and welcome our guests?
Thanks, Chair Edmund. Actually, I'll manage the report as this is there is direction to the Chief of Police, and so it would be appropriate for myself to bring this to the board's attention. And I want to take a moment to wish everybody a happy June and good morning. And it's in many ways very important that we're speaking about race-based data collection today. As we know, my colleague, Chief Jim Raymer, and the Toronto Police Service is unveiling a series of data collection that they've been doing. Our service has been very progressive around acknowledging systemic racism within the institution of policing, systemic discrimination, systemic barriers. And today, though, as part of our ongoing work and our excellent work by our race-based data collection team, internally as well as externally, we do have a recommendation before you today in relation to directing board staff as well as the Chief of Police to develop a board policy that provides direction around race-based data collection for the board's review and consideration. And I do want to provide some context around this process. As the board is aware, in 2017, the province of Ontario passed the Anti-Racism Act, which called on Ontario institutions, including policing, to address systemic racism, promote racial equity. And under that, particularly in 2018, the data standards for identification of and monitoring of systemic racism were passed, which required public service organizations, including all police services, to collect such race-based data to measure, monitor, address, eliminate systemic racism. And our service has always been fully supportive in partnership with the board. In fact, much of the work we had actually commenced prior to legislation being passed. As a part of this, we've been on our own journey around race-based data collection, ensuring data quality. However, we did request that the board in the 2021 December board meeting request that the board approve a 3-year academic partnership with Dr. Lauren Foster and Dr. Les Jacobs to develop and assist us in a larger race-based data collection strategy. And of course, that strategy is intended to produce concrete actions, ensure accountability mechanisms, as well as ensuring that we address systemic racism, that we also continue to inform the evolution of goals and objectives under the board's strategic business plan, as well as our equity, diversity, and inclusion strategy. And so as we continue this work and as we've been going down this journey, One of the items identified by Dr. Foster and Dr. Jacobs was a strong practice that the board develop policy which would create the formal guidance, as well as effective governance, effective management, as well as regulation of the race-based data collection strategy. And so, subject to any questions, I'm pleased to welcome, we do have Ms. Kate Richardson, as well as Dr. Mandy Williams. Ms. Margaret Glode sends her regrets today, but I do want to recognize the work of Kate and Dr. Williams and Margaret and many others internally that have been doing amazing work in advancing this courageous, ambitious approach. You have seen our use of force and public intervention data on a regular basis. You've seen our thorough searches and strip searches data, but we recognize that there's work to be done to finite and to actually understand the mechanisms behind all this data that we're collecting and how do we work with our community. So I do want to recognize the amazing work of Kate, Margaret, and Mandy, as well as many others as we advance this. I do believe that we're very well aligned as a police service, both locally, provincially, and nationally. We have a strong partnership with the POLIS committee, that is a Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police committee working with Stats Canada, because I think we have to look at this not only just locally, but provincially and nationally, and we're very much aligned for that. So this is a strong practice recommendation, but you will see a board recommendation. And subject to any questions, I do want to assure you of our services commitment to work with the board, Dr. Foster and Jacobs, to develop a strong policy for your review and consideration as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And I guess I would turn the floor over to Kate and Mandy. Are you here to answer questions, or do you want to make some comments?
We're happy to receive any questions.
To answer some questions.
Okay. Thank you. I think this is a really important commitment to an area that continues to need to be tracked, and change needs to be measured. So I really appreciate the hard work and the heavy lifting that's happening. Are there any questions from the board? If not, we have a motion to direct staff and the chief to develop a policy that provides direction to the race-based data collection strategy. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Karen, seconded by Tony. Please indicate your support for this by raising your hands. That is unanimously carried. And again, thank you. We look forward to an ongoing relationship and being able to flesh out our commitment with the strategy in the future. So thank you very much. The next agenda item is an update inflation in fuel, and this is for information. And Chief, do you want to introduce this?
Thanks so much, Chair Redmond, and pleased to welcome Ms. Kirsten Hand, our Finance Director, and bring some context to this as we have commenced our internal budgeting processes for 2023. And I will speak later to how we're actually aligning our 2023 operating and capital budget. But as the board is well aware, and certainly our ongoing work with the region, we are recognizing inflationary consumer price index challenges, as well as the impact of the fuel cost within our budgets, which are creating pressures for us as we look to the future. We know that construction, we know that infrastructure costs, et cetera, we are facing challenges, and we felt that as we hit mid-year in 2022, it was appropriate to update the board on some of those challenges as we look ahead to 2023, but also once Kirsten provides her commentary and insight from a financial perspective, I'll also provide some commentary as to how we're aligning and getting ready for our budget for 2023. So good morning and welcome, Kirsten.
Good morning. So the report before you identifies some of the factors that are impacting our budget in 2022 and will impact it in 2023. As you're well aware, 90% of our budget is related to resource costs. So from a positive perspective, it doesn't have as much of a material impact on our budget. And as you're all aware, inflation's at record high percentages. So the CPI is close to 7%, 31-year high. From an operating budget perspective, it will impact us on some of our procurement contracts that are tied to CPI increases in the value of approximately 100K. It's more impactful on our capital side. So from a vehicle perspective, both inflation, supply chain demands, is impacting our vehicle capital budget by about 250K, and how we're going to mitigate that is through deferring some of the replacement of vehicles to next year. From a capital perspective, we're seeing again high construction cost increases due to shortages in labor and building material cost increases. From a positive perspective, our major facility, New Central construction, is already an existing contract. So to date, we have not seen impacts on that. However, it is impacting some of our smaller facility capital projects. And again, we're looking to defer the number of projects this year to stay within our budget. From a fuel perspective, again, seeing record high prices year to date. What we were paying is about $1.45, but the levels in May were at $1.74, and that's compared to $1.04 that we budgeted for. So significant increases from a vehicle gasoline perspective. It will impact our budget approximately 200K we're forecasting this year. From a positive perspective, the number of hybrid marked patrol vehicles that we're putting in the fleet is positively impacting our fuel usage. So just lastly, there is a number of cost pressures that have been identified, but we're confident that we can mitigate those through our operating and capital budget in 2022, and we'll continue to monitor those through the 2023 budget process. Thank you.
Chief, back over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. And I did want to, sort of give some highlight again, as Kirsten alluded to, based on our projections around salary and really implementing some strong gapping analysis, increased parental and maternal leaves, we're seeing some variance, which is positive. But I do want to let the board know that, as we commence our budgeting process for 2023, our estimate is that we're currently trending at 8%. On a status quo, maintaining the operation piece on the operating budgets, what really equates to approximately $15 million. And so, in short, to operate the police service at current levels, current demands, current expectations, it will add $50 million to the base budget in 2023, or 8%. And we know that that's significant, and we're also fielding ongoing and increasing demands on our expectations of service levels. We're seeing increased pressures in a series of areas. And so as we look to 2023, we're also looking, the famous clock in the background at every meeting goes off, my apologies. And I will explain the significance of that clock, though, at one point today. But on a serious note, as we sort of look through 2023, and the current demands, there's going to be a lot of work ahead of us, particularly as we look at a couple of major projects, the HRIS Human Resource, which is a joint project with the region, as well as we look at digital evidence management. And I know that a series of board members have been on ride-alongs recently, and you can see the interrelation of technology and digital evidence and the cyber world we live in, and how that intersects with our frontline patrol. Of course, we currently have the body-worn and in-car camera pilot project ongoing, which is projected to come to the board pre-2023 budget for review and consideration and recommendation. And then we have the annualized cost of the 35 officers that the board approved in 2021 into 2022. We have some phased hiring in August and December, but of course the annualization cost will come forward. So it's just providing context to the Police Services Board about some of the pressures. And I know Kirsten and her team is re-envisioning the capital project that she highlighted, looking at the construction cost and some of those pieces as we roll through here. And finally, a large challenge for us, which is legislated, is Next Generation 911, which will change the way that we receive 911 calls into our communication center, into our public service answering point, which we operate on behalf of the region of Waterloo. So a good context, but I think as we hit mid-year, let the board know that Kirsten in particularly has been heavily providing leadership to the senior leadership team on where we're at, where are we going. We're in the process right now of reviewing our base budget. All of the various program areas and divisions, units, and teams across the service are actually looking at their budgets now, prepping that for the end of June. So Kirsten and her amazing team can pull together what this looks like as we head towards the fall. So lots of work, but we did feel it was appropriate to come in and talk about some of the pressures. And of course, we're seeing success with the hybrid technology. Obviously, we're looking into the future around the impact of electric vehicles, et cetera. But because we operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, much of our work is done within a police car. We have lots on foot and lots on bicycle, but the bulk of our delivery of service comes in vehicles, which is obviously having that pressure point. So again, thanks, Kirsten, for your always amazing attention to detail on our budget, but open it up to the board for any questions you may have as we look to the future and current challenges.
Thank you very much for that. And Kirsten, thank you for sort of giving us some of those thresholds of the price of fuel and what it was budgeted for. It has an impact, and I couldn't help but also make note of the hybrid and the fact that investment in hybrid vehicles does have a long-term benefit to the service as well as to the environment. So those kinds of investments do pay dividends, and fairly quickly when gas is going through the price is going through the ceiling. Are there any questions? This is for information, colleagues. I see none. The next agenda item is the annual report. This is for information, and Chief, I'll go back to you.
Thanks so much. And always just the challenge of sharing the screen. And I'd be remiss, 3 years later to say, hopefully everybody can see the screen, and I'm now off mute. So it's shape here as we roll through. But thank you very much, Chair Redmond. And I want to, joining me in presenting the 2021 WRPS annual report on behalf of Deputy Crowell and Deputy Hilton, our senior leadership team, and of course, the incredible talented members of the Waterloo Police Service. And I want to recognize the creation of the report, Ms. Sherry Greeno, our Director of Corporate Communication, along with Ms. Jen Condict and the entire team. And I guess in many ways, what a privilege to share the 2021 WRPS annual report. This will be my 8th and my final annual report to the Police Services Board. And as I reflected, I went through the 2021 WRPS annual report. I looked at 2014 and I've looked at the progression from there, but equally, I reflect back from 1991 and the initial annual report to where we've actually grown as a community, an incredible region, the 10th largest census metropolitan area in Canada, and one that I believe is the greatest to call home. Secondly, I look at our police service and how we've grown, not only in membership, not only in expertise and skills, but also in diversity, in talent acquisition, and of course also in budget. And I wish in many ways it had not grown as such, but that's the realities of the world that we live in. And so it's with tremendous pride and privilege that I share the 2021 annual report. And I certainly want to recognize the leadership of the board, and I, clearly want to dedicate this report to our amazing community, our community stakeholders, our community partners, and to the members of the police service. And if I may simply provide an overview and a highlight of the annual report, of course, we remain in partnership with the board extremely committed to delivering effective police services while embracing collaborative partnerships and community engagement that strengthen public safety and community well-being. We want a region where everybody is safe and feels safe. We also recognize that in 2021 and 2022, these have been challenging times where not everybody feels safe and not everybody feels secure and not everybody is thriving. But I think in partnership with the board and all of our stakeholders, we're committed to ensuring that nobody's left behind and that we continue to thrive. And we remain committed to people. We remain committed to partnerships. And of course, at all, the integrity and respect and trust and confidence in our service is keen. And I'll highlight our commitment to continuous improvement in the values. And I think when I look at the 1991 annual report, which was Chief Harold Bassey's final annual report, and we saw the migration of leadership to Chief Larry Graville, and I look at through all of those progressions and where we land today, we should be proud that as a police services board, as a service, and as a region, we're all committed to continuous improvement. And naturally, police can only survive and thrive with the accountability. And I want to reaffirm our commitment to transparency and taking responsibility for the work that we do. But I also know that our members take amazing pride in the work that they do, and we witness that every single day. And so if the board would indulge, I'd like to take you through a couple of key highlights. Of course, at the start, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the leadership of Chair Redmond, Vice Chair Schnarr, Mayor Shantz, Mr. McLean, Councillor Kiefer, Ms. Rosita C., and Mr. Tony Giovinazzo, as well as Jill Eglinton, the board staff member who provides tremendous leadership and works with our service every single day. Governance is such a key portion of strong policing, and I want to take a moment on behalf of Mark and Shirley and I and the leadership team and our members to thank you for your stewardship, for your guidance, your wisdom, your sage counsel, but more importantly, your advocacy and support during some challenging times. So thank you for that. Of course, on behalf of Deputy Crowell and Deputy Hilton, we're certainly extremely proud. As I mentioned, it's important to set the context that policing in Waterloo Region is a unique opportunity. We provide services to 3 urban centers and 4 rural townships. Of course, we are the 6th largest municipal police service in Ontario, the 12th largest municipal police service in Canada, providing service to the 10th largest community. Our area is vast, and so we can be celebrating in downtown Galt in a urban center and enjoying the beauty of the Grand River and the historic nature of Galt, or we can be, thriving in on a patio in downtown Kitchener, or we can be celebrating in an entertainment district in a lively uptown Waterloo, or we can be enjoying the Butter Festival. We can be celebrating our Mennonite heritage or having a coffee in St. Jacobs, or moving towards North Dumfries and celebrating outdoors along the Nith River. We have so much to offer in our community, but it's a large geographical area, just over 64 square kilometers, 632,000 diverse citizens. And of course, even our area codes are expanding as we roll through, and a 3rd one soon to be added. And so I think it's important we bring some context. And of course, more than 804 uniformed members and sworn members, and of course 359 civilian members who provide 73 distinct expertise and subject matter experts to the service that we provide. And so it takes an entire team to make this happen every single day, and we're very proud of that. One of the areas I'd like to highlight, I talked about the challenges ahead, the next generation 911, but our communications center is the public service answering point, and it's we provide this on behalf of the Regional Waterloo, where every 911 call is actually triaged, whether it's police, fire, and/or paramedics. And we stream those calls for service. And in 2021, more than 320,000 calls for service dispatched, 154,000 emergency 911 priority calls, 166 non-emergency calls. And the talent of these members who work 24/7, 365 are doing amazing work in the communications center. And of course, what you see is 320,000 calls for service that are dispatched. But it's not uncommon when somebody calls 911 for an emergency that there's multiple calls coming into the communication center. It's a lively, vibrant communication center where amazing people are the first line of support. And so when somebody's in need of police, fire, and ambulance, it's that calming, it's that soothing, it's that supporting voice that manages that. Of course, we are preparing the region for an NG 911, and we continue to work on enhanced 911 services. We launched What 3 Words, which allows us to join emergency services from across the globe to locate 911 callers with a location technology app. Our world is changing, and the dynamics of our world is changing, and we're extremely proud of our communication center and the work that we do. But it just shows you the insight and the magnitude. And when people wonder about, the economics of our police service, the actual demand and expectation of our community. And so again, we continue to do amazing work. We highlight some amazing things. The other piece is the second neighborhood that we provide policing to. We have two neighborhoods. We have the traditional neighborhood where children are playing and children are waving to a police car, or citizens are expecting us to patrol in the darkness of night. But there's also a significant worldwide neighborhood which has no geographical boundaries, where people prey on the vulnerable, where humans and illicit drugs and illicit firearms are trafficked and people are exploited. And so our cybercrime team unit is small, but it's mighty. We've significantly partnered provincially and nationally with other strategies to build our capacity, to build our expertise. We're also continue to work with third-party providers to look at automation and enhancement. But I want to take a moment to look at, the majority of investigations that we come in contact with have some form of technology. So our team has seized and analyzed more than 909 devices, 236 internet child exploitation investigations, 154 internet child exploitation charges. And for us as a service, this is heartbreaking. And so the traditional protection at a playground, at a park, at a schoolyard, now we're providing protection and education to ensure that our most vulnerable and the future of our community is safe and secure. And that's through providing policing on the World Wide Web. Again, 25 million images reviewed, 2.1 videos reviewed. These are startling. And as I said, we have a small but not mighty unit. And of course, some of the phased in enhancements that the Police Service Board approved last year of the 35 additional officers will provide support within our cybercrime team. But I know that on behalf of our executive, we want to salute the members that work in this area and the challenges that they see every single day. So amazing work happening, but I think it's extremely important that we recognize that we must continue to focus on this. And you'll see in a Did You Know, 164 unique IP addresses shared child exploitation material in Kitchener, Cambridge, and Waterloo, the three urban centers. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, 164, the IP address is your municipal address on the web. And so I think we need to continue to commit resources in this particular area. Of course, every single day, the impacts of addiction and concurrent disorders such as mental health are visible in our community. And of course, as I often talk about, much of our crime and much of the challenges we face, all roads lead to the challenges of addiction and drugs within our society, as well as we're seeing a propensity of violence using firearms in our community, in our province, and in our nation. And I just want to take a moment to highlight that, over the last 5 years, the way that we do and provide policing services has changed. We've become lifesavers. We always were, but we've actually now in the world of addiction have become lifesavers through naloxone, carrying a life-saving antidote. And in 2021, 52 individuals received naloxone from our frontline members. We supported our regional paramedics at 862 non-fatal overdoses. And tragically, our major crime and our general investigations unit investigated 99 fatal overdoses in 2021. Our drug team and our drug and firearms unit laid 272 charges related to the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act, arrested 65 people, conducted 65 search warrants, and removed $1.6 million of illicit drugs from our community. We seized 15 vehicles valued at about $140,000, and we seized more than $184,000 of crime monies. So taking that money away from those that prey on the vulnerable and those that are facing health issues such as addiction. And so we're very proud of the work that we're doing. We're also proud of our integration with the other jurisdictions, including the OPP and the RCMP, as we actually collaborate provincially and nationally on combating illicit drugs. But we're also proud of our work through the Waterloo Region Integrated Drug Strategy, our commitment to the pillars, our commitment to advocating for change legislation so that those with addiction are treated with dignity and are cared for through our public health and our healthcare system. You can see that we continue to seize firearms. We continue to deal with investigations and highlighting some key investigations as we, our commitment to ensuring safety in our community. You can see some of these are all evidentiary photos from seizures and the work that we do. And of course, I highlighted our commitment to joint police investigations. You can see, the seizures and the products we're seizing. What is extremely concerning is the continued propensity of fentanyl and carfentanil in our community. It's actually, we seized 8,311 grams. And although all illicit drugs are dangerous, the toxic supply of fentanyl and carfentanil is very concerning. Once again, we operated an amnesty program to ensure that those lawful gun owners and those that have inherited firearms that are looking for an easy administrative process to dispose of could do that through the police service. And we've committed to doing this annually. And so the drugs and firearms is one piece, but we also have a massive ongoing work around property and financial crimes. And our property and financial crime team does amazing work. Often that theft from a vehicle, that break into your car or to your vehicle or to your home, has significant trauma. It's intrusive. It's our personal property. It's our home. It's what we call a safe sanctuary. And so in 2021, we've had 750 vehicles stolen. We continue to work with all police services as well as auto manufacturers. We certainly see stolen vehicles and the use of technology to steal vehicles increasing. We dealt with 68 attempted vehicle thefts. But we also laid 642 charges. We're clearing and we're working hard on investigating these crimes that impact people's level of safety. 78 people arrested, 40 search warrants completed. We investigated 48 robberies, laid 183 charges, arrested 38 people, and completed 49 warrants. And around organizational financial crime, 152 charges laid, 36 people arrested, and 53 warrants completed. And some may say, well, this is data and it's stats, and what does this mean? This is significant amount of police work. This is actually public safety in action, taking action. Some of it is reactive. We acknowledge that, but it's also sending a clear message that our teams of investigators take these crimes seriously. They're skilled, they're professional, and they're making a difference in the lives of those that have been victimized. And we're extremely proud of this. And of course, we must continue to focus on organized financial crime, which often targets vulnerable, our older adult population, those that get caught up in online scams, et cetera. And again, often these have no geographical boundaries. And so some amazing work by our team in property and financial crime. We've been targeting cell phone store robberies even into 2022. We've been dealing with increased car robberies or the term carjacking. We've been continuing to do a significant amount of work. And you can see, in 2021, just over 2,290 occurrences related to property crime and financial crime. And so some amazing work as we continue through this. Of course, our General Investigations Unit captures many different investigations. They capture non-suspicious deaths, coroner's investigations. They provide support every single day to frontline patrol. And I think it's very clear, you have a team of investigators that managed 447 investigations, laid 474 charges. From a fraud perspective, 89 investigations with 17 total charge. And this is pretty significant. Often this work is tedious. It provides significant work. We're seeing that once again, the complexity of the cyber world with Bitcoin scams as we roll through. Intimate partner violence is something that, we continue to be very committed. And I want to highlight our partnership with the Family Violence Project and as well as many different agencies that we work with. We believe that this is a community responsibility. The police service has a role to play. We have a legislative role. But we need to continue to invest in reducing intimate partner violence. Just over 6,145 calls for service, which were related to domestic violence, 301 of those recidivist calls. Just over 3,500 charges laid. Again, we follow adequacy standard around intimate partner violence, completed 332 warrants. I want to take an opportunity here to pause, and say that as I reflect and I present the 2021 annual report, that just over 32 years ago, these officers didn't do search warrants. the added layer of complexity of the judicial demands of our system, all for right reasons, has added layers of workload, of judicial expectation, and supporting those that are victims and survivors. We've launched an early intervention program and high-risk team to deal with the recidivist calls, to be more proactive, to look at more prevention in partnership with all of our different agencies. Again, the Family Violence Project, and a big shout out to Tracy Elop, the Executive Director of Horizon, and her team that do amazing work in supporting us. The work of our Victims Services Unit, who provide necessary support, are all special pieces. But as we look to the future, we need to continue investment in reducing intimate partner violence. We know that the data shows the impact of this crime, the intergenerational trauma that it creates on families, on the children, on those involved in intimate partner violence. And so it's extremely important as we continue to support. And so if you think about this, is every single day, our service responds to 17 calls for service. That's a startling number, and one that really reminds us of our continued need to focus on such a challenging and in many ways a sad call for service, and ultimately at times a criminal offense. Road safety continues to be one of the continuing concerns of our community. Our Traffic Services Unit is a dedicated team of full-time investigators that focus on road safety, on major collision investigation. And we're proud of the work that they do. On the other side of that, you often see these officers as a part of the motorcycle unit supporting events and festivals and parades and providing security. But our focus has been around the fatal four. We've also grown our support for road safety, and we every month, with the exception of June, July, and August, we run a specialized road safety team that is distributed and provides service levels across our 3 urban centers and our 4 townships. And you can see that our Traffic Services Unit, just over 14,594 charges laid, 769 for impaired driving, more than 12,000 for speeding, more than 452 for failing to wear a seatbelt, and 749 for distracted driving. We saw some significant challenges of stunt driving through the pandemic when we were locked down and our roadways were open. But again, I'm very proud. We've also seen some progressive legislation from provincial government around moving Ontario's more safely, or the MUM Act. We've seen some great work around stunt driving and providing policing with enhanced judicial powers at roadside as we continue. Of course, we participate in Canada Road Safety Week. If kids get it, why don't you? Which was a large program aimed at reducing impaired driving in our community, where young people, and of course all of us that have younger children or grandchildren, often in a car, they're the greatest safety ambassadors. They tell you to buckle up. They remind you that the light is yellow, not green, and they want you to slow down, and they remind you to put the phone away. And so they also remind us to drive safe. And so our remote pilot vehicle continues to provide significant support to investigations. Thanks to the board support, we acquired a Sky Ranger in 2018. It supports collision reconstruction, collecting evidence. It's reduced our time at collision scenes. It's provided enhanced evidentiary information, including digital evidence. And so we're very proud of that work. Just over from a traffic perspective, just close to 40 hours of flight time and supporting all the different investigations. Our major crime team is a team of highly skilled, dedicated investigators that are very much focused on threshold crimes. And of course, homicides, attempt murders, sadly, children that die under the age of 5, all shooting investigations. And their work is complex. Their work is very challenging, and it's not often very immediate. We continue, from an overall perspective, if you look at 2021, we had 2 homicides, which was down from the previous year of 8. We continue to see a 30-year average of about 5 homicides a year. We should be proud of that. We're under the provincial and national average related to homicides. We had 8 attempted murders and 7 deaths under 5, which are not only challenging for those involved and all impacted, but the community and for our members. 16 shooting investigations. I spoke about the propensity of violence and particularly around drug investigations. And our major crime team laid more than 42 charges. And it may not seem like a significant number, but these are year-long, sometimes years-long investigations as they continue the work that they do. Very much supported by the Attorney General, the Crown's office around guidance and wisdom of investigations. But again, you know, 7 arrests were laid, 28 charges laid in relation to 2 major homicides, and we're proud of the work that they do. It's challenging work. It requires significant commitment and time away from their families, particularly in the first 72 hours of these investigations. As we continue, you can see the list of shootings. We continue to have a very much proactive focus on addressing shootings in our community. We're proud to also advocate for enhanced firearm legislation and enhanced, you know, provincial coordination of how we manage firearms, how we trace firearms. Ontario is, in my view, leading the way nationally around how we're coordinated. The Special Victims Unit is one that is comprised of 5 distinct teams: the Youth Protection Unit, Missing Persons, the Senior Support Team, the Special Victims Team, the Human Trafficking Team. They work collaboratively with community partners, but the work they do is significant. It's solely dedicated to supporting victims and survivors of sexual assault, child exploitation, sexual interference, and supporting our most vulnerable at times, children and older adults. 510 sexual assault investigations, 663 youth protection investigations, 258 missing person investigations, 77 human trafficking investigations, 142 senior support, with more than 256 charges of judicial action laid. It's significant work. We're also very proud to partner with the Sexual Assault Support Center, the St. Mary's Sexual Assault Support Unit, and other providers who provide that survivor-centric lens, that trauma-informed lens. But I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. Of course, we continue to support, and the board recently saw our continued sexual assault external review team, which is supporting and enhancing our investigations so that our victims and survivors get the level of service and the level of support and the investigative support that they require. We very much have been focused on missing person investigations, and we've seen local champions advocate for provincial change, and we've been proud to be a part of that. But we also recognize the impact that it has on individuals. Human trafficking is an emerging trend in policing in Ontario, and we're proud of the work that we're doing with the Guelph Police Service as well as external partners, and shining a light on the horrendous trafficking of humans. And there's a significant amount of work to be done in this area, but we're proud of the investment that the province is making in this particular area of crime, because it's often tied to drugs and firearms and other distinct pieces. But more importantly, it's about rescuing those that are being trafficked. And the work that our team does is nothing but astonishing with our community partners. One of the key things that in the emerging trends is our criminal intelligence unit has been focused on is hate crime and extremism. I think, as the board knows, over the last 3 years, the social fabric of our society, the online hate and propaganda has been one of concern, and not just locally, but provincially and nationally. And this gives you some insight. Our criminal intelligence unit collects and it analyzes and it disseminates accurate and timely intelligence information that supports ongoing operations and investigations. So this isn't a team that is often visible. It's not a team that is often seen publicly, but they do amazing work to prevent, to be proactive, to respond, and to support investigations. And you can see the work that they're doing around even supporting and working. We currently lead the hate crime and extremism investigative team, which is 18 Ontario Police Services. It was created in 2003, excuse me, to bring a number of services together to work. just transitioning the canine unit, and I think on the cover you saw one of our prized possessions, one of our canine dogs. The canine unit is one that is governed by adequacy standard. Our service must have a canine unit or partnerships. We created ours in 1986. Currently, we have 5 canines. And if you look at the work they're doing, more than 338 tracks and or searches, excuse me, 14 arrests, 22 warrants, and participated in finding 36 illicit drugs and or properties. It's a very physically demanding unit. And they work a part of a significant team. They work 24/7. And there you can see Grim, Tracker, Ranger, and Chase. Of course, we've just added a 5th as Grim heads towards, Chase heads towards retirement. But you can see that these are significant financial investment in our unit, our handlers. And again, often seen in the darkness of night as they support frontline operations and support our emergency response team. We're very proud of the work that they do. And you can see they're also, they look really cute, but they're trained working dogs as we roll through. You know, our equity, diversity, inclusivity unit, thanks again to the support of the board. We launched a full-time team in 2016, 2017. It's since grown. I'm hoping that in July, we're in a position to unveil our new manager of equity, diversity, inclusion, to build upon the great work that Staff Sergeant Eric Boynton and others have provided. But we should be extremely proud of the work that we're doing as an organization. We started this work significantly, in 2014. And then in 2017, launched a full-time team. Of course, worked on the first ever equity, diversity strategic plan as we continue to focus on this piece. And it's really around leadership commitment. And I know the Police Services Board has been a champion. The Police Service Board has been our biggest and sage counsel to advancing strong equity and diversity within our police service to meet the demands and the demographics of our organization. And that includes, we've been very clear around acknowledging the challenges that policing as an institution has, including barriers, systemic racism, systemic discrimination. And we continue along our 5 key pillars: total community engagement, competent and diverse competent members, that cultural competency, a diverse workforce. We just celebrated our badge ceremony, and the board was able to see the talent and what we're acquiring into our organization. Of course, we continue to look at leadership and how it reflects our community, and clearly have work to be done, but I'm very proud that we've have gender parity and gender balance within our leadership team. There's work to be done around racialized members and within leadership, but also around where our members feel secure and supported. There's an amazing amount of work to be done. I'm also proud of the work, and the board recently approved some direction around a race-based data policy, but we've been heavily involved in race-based data collection, not only just locally, but the voices of our leaders, Kate and Margaret and Mandy, have been national. We've been influencing legislation. We've been influencing the Stats Canada and uniform crime reporting. Our team has been leading, and I'm very proud of that work as we continue. And I look forward to the excitement and the re-energization as we transition to a full-time civilian professional leading equity, diversity, inclusivity. But I must thank the board. This would not be possible without your commitment. You've been walking the journey with us. You've been participating in all of the educational sessions where we continue to learn and grow. Besides, those are the operational, the front-facing parts of our service that often Deputy Hilton leads this exciting team. Her meetings are very exciting. They're investigative-based, they're action-packed. And then Deputy Crowell's team often is the infrastructure that keeps us going. And so often his excitement is about the cloud. It's about servers. It's about all these different processes, but they're in nature, they're symbiotic. They need to work together. And our administrative support branch does a ton of work in supporting frontline operations in all of our investigative areas. You can see the products that they've handled, more than 442 firearms last year, just 34,000 records checks completed, 964 kilograms of controlled drugs and substances disposed of. This is an amazing amount of work to keep our judicial process moving and everything, all of our systems ago. And we know how important, for example, record checks are. That supports volunteerism, which supports vibrant communities. And so they play a very unique part of who we are as an organization. And we salute their amazing work behind the scenes. You can see that we're advancing a digital evidence management system. We're the leading leading service within the province. And again, it speaks to the talent of our IT branch, Director Bob Hillhorst, Superintendent Shana Morris leading the body-worn camera project. We're leading in many different ways. And of course, we're rolling out digital evidence management. It touches all of our investigations. And so there's some exciting pieces as we see this. And of course, all of us, you can't go anywhere without somebody being on a device. That has impacts on policing, and we're very much aligned to meet the future challenges. Just a quick highlight, the body-worn in-car camera video pilot project. The board recently received an update, and thanks to that, have extended the project. But more than 24,000 pieces of evidence that will assist in the judicial process, 9,715 in-car camera pieces of evidence. We currently have 75 body-worn cameras deployed, 40 in-car cameras, video systems deployed. And this is a significant technology revolution within policing that will no doubt be a part of a larger discussion with the board as we look to the future. But we should be very proud. I'm also very proud. We weren't the first service to jump into this game, but I'll tell you, we're one of the services that looked at policy and procedure and privacy impact like no other service, and we should celebrate that work as we continue on. We receive, a significant amount of support. I recognize that policing is often in the heart of many discussions. We're often in the heart of comments within media and through the community. The last couple of years, policing has been in the focus of reformation and transformation. But I can tell you that we receive so many accolades for the work that our members do. And you can see a quick highlight, but I do want to thank our members. And I think it's a time to pause and recognize the amazing work of the more than 1,200 members. Every single day they come to work with one focus, and that is to actually ensure a safe community. And we get it done 24/7, 365. And in reality, we're also human. So we do make mistakes. We're imperfect. But I'm also proud that, when we do actually make those mistakes and we do find those imperfections, we look at solutions, we look at accountability, we accept responsibility. And of course, at the end of the day, that starts and ends with myself. And so I'm very proud of the work we do, but I also acknowledge to our community that we're always in evolution. We're striving for excellence in everything we do. Perfection is the ultimate utopian goal, but we're human. And so we must focus on excellence as we work towards perfection. I want to recognize a couple of members, Staff Sergeant Boynton, who will this year in October be celebrated by the International Association of Chiefs of Police for being 40 and under 40. And we're proud of all of his work, particularly around his work in equity and inclusion within our organization. He's done amazing work, courageous discussions. Also, Sergeant Kelly Preble, who has done significant amount of work in rural policing and supporting our rural townships. The Lifetime Law Enforcement Award from Blue Line for leadership. And Kelly developed such trusting relationships with our community partners, a tremendous asset. And I know that our rural communities very much appreciate all of the amazing work that Kelly has done. And so those are two highlights. Constable Terry Lee Schizler was recognized by the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police for her Youth Service Award. Amazing work by Terry Lee in supporting the Reach for It program, as well as the significant amount of work for Just Girl Stuff program for girls in grades 7 and 8. Terry Lee gets them ready for high school and mentors young women. And of course, Sherry Greeno, who was celebrated by her peers in the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police with the Catherine Martin Award of Excellence in Media Relations. The board obviously gets to see the amazing work of Sherry and her team every single day, but we're proud of Sherry. Over the last 5 years, when Sherry joined our service, She has built capacity within our organization, both internally and externally, to enhance our transparency, to grow how we communicate with our community and our partners, and has simply been so dedicated to her profession and instilling a strong development of her craft, but also she shares that provincially and nationally. She's a member and chair of the Ontario Media Relations Officer Network, and also supports aspiring journalists and professionals at Conestoga College, and also supports the Canadian Chiefs National Peace. And so we congratulate Sherry Greeno for her amazing work. The board has seen much of our training and escalation work and our public intervention. And I do, again, want to highlight more than 300,000 occurrences where 14,587 arrests. Out of that, 307 use of force and public interventions. And I think it speaks to the de-escalation function that the majority of calls for service we go, we're able to de-escalate, we're able to resolve. But the reality is that our members are faced with danger. Our members are faced with individuals who will not comply. Our members are faced with life-endangering incidents, not only for themselves, but they're called upon to protect the public. And, again, we do a significant amount of work. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. Inspector Jason Boucher is co-chairing a national task force in partnership with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on de-escalation and public intervention. And later this fall at the Canadian Chiefs meeting, Jason and his team will present a national transformation of public intervention with a focus on de-escalation and re-engineering our training and our education. And so we should be very proud. We can't rest on our laurels. We need to continue to invest in strong professional development, strong training, as well as public intervention. What can I say about the pandemic as we, maybe find some new normal? And there's a part of me that candidly wishes the board, we were all in one room today celebrating this, but here we are virtually. Policing in a pandemic has been unique. I'm still searching for the chapter in the Chiefs playbook on policing in a pandemic. But I think that collectively as a police service and as a profession, we've written the chapters. And I'm very proud of that as we continue our work. Just some insight, 120,000 level 3 medical masks, were ordered and used by our service in the pandemic, 7,200 N95 masks, 1,800 hand sanitizers, 600 tubes of sanitizing wipes, 550 rolls of paper, 350 bottles of disinfecting spray. Those are things that, Kirsten, our finance director, never thought would be on her key ordering regime. But we've done amazing work, and I want to salute Kirsten and Chris Gibson, our director of facilities, along with our Emergency Operations Center, for the amazing work we've done, largely led by Inspector Donna Mancuso. Amazing work. And if you think about it, over a 30-month plus range, with 1,600 exposures, 587 members tested, 56 positive cases, 527 on-duty exposures. I mean, just simply amazing that we were able to provide a safe, healthy work environment, not only for our members, but also for our community as we continue. And again, I want to shout out to the Operations Center, who did amazing work in all things pandemic and support of the Regional Pandemic Control Group. And so, of course, our community connections are extremely important. I always say this internally, and I remain committed to this: community matters. And I'll point to a photo with Chief Arian, who participated in the recent recruit ceremony. He actually called me on 570 City News and said he wanted my job. So I invited him to the office to get a peek of what the chief does. And you can see some of the amazing community connections and the different things that we're doing across our organization, whether it's, supporting our diverse neighborhoods, making a difference during the holiday season, supporting the food bank, having a little bit of fun, through our community during the pandemic, whether it's baking cookies for Kids Ability and Nutrition for Learning, whether it's giving blood, supporting our Special Olympians. Our members are wholeheartedly engaged in the community because it matters. It's who we are. We're a part of the community. And so we're very proud. We're also very proud of our volunteers, the auxiliary police, which is fully up and running again. Some slight pauses during the pandemic. Our police chorus, our ceremonial band, will be making comebacks after the pandemic, and we're proud of the tens of thousands of hours that these community citizens volunteer to support our police service. Our events, our badge ceremony, our torch run, our open house, our police week are all part of our ability to connect with our community and to open our doors. And we're grateful for the board for participating and supporting and allowing us to be a part of all of that. It's an extremely important piece as we continue through this. Again, we get social through communication and social media. You can see some of the ways that we connect with our community. You can see the impact of our website and the different processes and some of the fun things that we did. We believe in posting positive in the sense of, Pink Shirt Day, supporting anti-bullying, the winter wear program that we do, walking the chalk and promoting back to school safety, celebrating Officer Oween and ensuring that every child across the community can have a, costume to go out and, who doesn't love a little bit of chocolate, and just celebrating that whole piece. And of course, something near and dear to me is our backpack challenge. Over the last 5 years, more than 10,000 backpacks have been distributed so that every young person goes back to school with great swagger, with a little new clothes, a backpack full of goodies. It means the world to our children. And so I'm very proud of that work. And proud of the support that we're doing and look forward to seeing that continue. Of course, we have the WRPS Express, which is a newsletter that goes out to our community, crime prevention campaigns, spreading the holiday joy, all kinds of amazing different pieces that we do and carry through. From a strategic business perspective, we are continuing. We have 33 in progress objectives. We have 51 that are coming due in 2023. But we're well guided by the Police Services Board around how we're focused. Much of that is around trust, collaboration, innovation, operational excellence, and of course our people. And that is what's guiding us through to ensure that we meet the demands, the expectations of our citizens and our community as we continue through. Of course, this annual report is interactive, so you can click and it will take you to different processes. There's videos embedded in it. It will be shared electronically and in hard copy. A shout out to our impact team and our partnership with the Canadian Mental Health Association. We did recently increase a number of hours of operation. So we're operating 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till midnight. And I'm very excited that very shortly you'll also see us triaging the mental health calls for service in our communication center, thanks to a generous grant from the Solicitor General. And so that's continues the evolution of the work we do around alternative response and how do we support those in need, and how do we actually put the H, the big H, in mental health and make it a health sector responsibility versus a policing responsibility. We should be getting those in need the right care they need. As the board supported a new approach to community engagement and well-being, and so we rolled out community engagement teams, which are focused on mental health, youth engagement, working with our community, our direct action response team, which provides high impact and enhanced uniform visibility across our neighborhoods, with the goal of reducing long-term operational demands through problem-oriented policing, crime prevention, and at times enforcement. That's a key part of the work that we do. And so very proud of this team led by Inspector Houston and Staff Sergeant Jason Mulholland, 45 officers, highly skilled, highly compassionate, caring, and simply just great community leaders. Of course, the new dog therapy program in partnership with St. John Ambulance provides support for those that have been victimized by crime. We're very proud to continue to partner with this amazing program where we're able to support survivors of human trafficking, sexual offenses, to ensure that they receive the comfort and assistance that they need throughout the entire investigative and judicial process. You can see some of the cast of characters there. That it's amazing what these dogs and these handlers provide support for. And we're indebted to St. John Ambulance for their amazing support and work. We're pleased to welcome a number of senior leader promotions into our organization as we look to the future. We're so excited. We welcomed 26 new hires, uniform hires. We had 11 promotions as we continue on. And so it's just simply some amazing work as we continue. We've added hybrid vehicles. The board recently heard about the impact of fuel and inflation, but we do have a green team, which is looking at our impact on the environment. And again, I think it speaks to the stewardship of our role in society, the work that we play and the work that our members play around that process. And so, each cruiser we anticipate saves $4,000 a year in fuel cost, reduces the overall footprint, and actually ensures a healthier community for our future generations. And so, again, we're proud of this, but we're also proud that the Police Services Board endorsed and supported our resource request to transition from fuel to hybrid vehicles. And no doubt in the future, we'll see this transition to electric as well. So again, I won't go through all of the different stats and all these different pieces. The board gets this on a regular piece, but you'll see this. I do want to pause for a moment on investment in public safety. And I do want to recognize that, yes, I recognize that the police budget is often one of much focus and much dialogue. We're a critical infrastructure within the regional Waterloo. And the Police Services Board is tasked with governance of infrastructure and budget. And the Police Services Act, essentially through legislation, has a municipality responsible to pay for policing costs. And so we don't see some of the same shared costs provincially. We do receive some grants, but I want to take a moment to say and to highlight that, our investment in our overall, you can see our 2021 budget, $185 million. I view it as an investment in community. I view it as an investment in the future of our region. And I recognize that 90% of that allotment and that investment is in humans, because the service we deliver is human-based. That's our strength. Our strength comes in the individual that you see patrolling your street, or when you call the police, or when you come in to get a records check, or you do it online and you pick it up. Our services are delivered by humans. We solve complex criminal and social and challenging public issues through a skilled human. That's the product we deliver. And so I want to take this to, once again, reinforce the importance of investing in public safety, but also to recognize that we have an amazing, talented CFO who very much is focused on strong approaches to fiscal responsibility, fiscal accountability, and actually doing business differently. The entire leadership team supports that. And so I did want to pause there for a moment. Our year in numbers, you can see all the different things. And, this is just a quick snapshot. And I'd like to, end on this slide, which speaks to the beauty of our region. And it's somewhat special as a resident of Woolwich Township. We're so fortunate, Chair Redmond, you talked about our commitment to reconciliation. You talked about our commitment of the lands where we have the privilege to provide policing services, and a part of our community. And of course, our region is united by the Grand River, this amazing river that flows through the heart of our townships, the heart of our urban centers, but it was also the heart of building this incredible community. And so we're privileged to work with our Indigenous partners as we reconcile as a police service. We reaffirm our commitment to the missing and murdered Indigenous women, but we also recognize the role that our rural communities have played in creating this 10th economic powerhouse of a community called Waterloo Region. And so I want to thank the board. I'd be pleased to take any questions on the annual report. But as the board is aware, this is we're required through legislation to present the annual report. And in closing, I just want to simply say that, as the chief, it's a privilege to serve, but we also, owe a debt of gratitude to our community for their ongoing support, for their significant investment in working with us to solve and to reduce crime and social issues, but also to the members. Every single day, as I say, they simply go out and they're well-intended to make a difference, and they're actually very selfless in the work that they do. So in closing, I'll morph this into my monthly chief report as I can, to simply say, a huge applause. We recognize that there's work to be done. We've never shied away from that. In fact, we're always the first to come to the table to say, hey, we need to do improvements here. We need to grow here. We need to learn here. But in essence, every single day, there's a lot of amazing things we do. And I think that this police service board, our police service members are making a difference. And for that, we say thank you, and we salute all of our members for the amazing work. And we also salute our community. I still believe that we are a leading municipality in the country. We set the tone on so many levels that it's hard to actually explain all the things they do. And I know that Deputy Crowell and Deputy Hilton, we had the pleasure of participating in Chiefs meetings this week. And I sit there with great pride and listening to some of the things that are, other services are coming to or evolving. And I go, wow, we did that one. Wow, we were ahead of the curve here. And it's not about being ahead of the curve. I think it speaks to who we are as an organization, as a community. So thank you for this opportunity, and look forward to any questions you may have.
So thank you, Chief. I have to tell you, there isn't, I think I speak on behalf of the entire board to say there's never a monthly meeting when we are not so impressed with the professionalism of the service, as well as the variety of issues that the both civilian and uniform officers and the rest of the staff make sure that this community have addressed. This is bittersweet. It is your last annual report. I'm going to throw it over to Tony Giovinazzo right now.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate your indulgence. Unfortunately, this morning, Ian McLean, one of our colleagues, had to attend a funeral, and he was very saddened that he wasn't able to express some of his own words. So I'll try to be as eloquent as possible, but I can never reach the plateaus of Ian McLean. So here are some of the words that Ian wanted to express to you, Chief, on this final board meeting that you will be attending. Chief Larkin, I apologize for missing your last meeting as chief. Certainly, I regret missing the opportunity to give you the good-natured ribbing you would expect from me. But I'll save that for another time when you come to a business to business. On a serious note, I want to thank you for your long career of service to our region. You have been a true leader in every sense. Your leadership and contribution to the WRPS has been so important. You have led by example, working each day to instill a culture of respect, professionalism, and equity within the service. Your contribution to community initiatives and local charities are too many to mention, but will be remembered and appreciated for years to come by so many. I have known and worked closely with you throughout my 7 years on Waterloo City Council, for the last 12 years as CEO of the Chamber, and now as a member of the Police Services Board. What I'll always remember is that you were always available to talk, ready to listen to problems as they arose, think creatively about solutions, and provide wise and sage advice. For that, I'm personally grateful. You can and should retire knowing that you leave a better police service than the one you found when you started, and that you leave this service with many leaders ready to pick up and continue on where you left off. So you have left both the civic life of our community strengthened and our police services strengthened, a tremendous legacy. And while Waterloo Region will miss your sunny personality and talents, the RCMP and our country will be the beneficiary. Bonne chance, Ian McLean. And Madam Chair, if I could just provide my own personal. Chief, I want to acknowledge your tireless commitment to our community and to the members of the service and this board. You are honestly by far one of the hardest working leaders that I know in this community. A mentor once told me, the mark of a great leader is evidenced not so much on how an organization functions while you're there, but more so importantly, how the organization functions when you're not there. I know the service is in great shape and in the hands of a phenomenal of phenomenal members and leaders that you fostered. Undoubtedly, for me, you are a titan in policing and in our community. And as a grateful member of this community, I want to convey a heartfelt thank you, Chief, and God bless in your future endeavors. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Tony. Would any other board members like to weigh in with any comments? Carl, go ahead.
Well, everything that I wanted to say was said already by my colleagues. It's all true, Chief. And, you know, I have had the pleasure, the absolute honor to work with you on the Police Services Board the last 8 years. And it's been an extreme pleasure to do that. You are everything that my colleagues have said. And as I said earlier, when you announced that you were leaving, it's our tremendous loss, but Canada on a national basis gain that you're going to go to the RCMP. I won't be too far away, even though this is my final term. I'll still try to keep in contact, and good luck in the future to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Carl. Anyone else want to weigh in? Sandy.
Thank you. I don't think I could say it better than Ian and Tony and Carl, but just great thanks for your leadership, for your work in the community, your collaboration. We'll miss you. And you're not far away, so you're just down the road and still in the township. So I look forward to seeing you. All the best.
Any other board members? I don't want to buttonhole anyone. Karen, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. It always takes me, my computer when I'm at home is never as good as the resources provided to me by the university. So I think, you know, we always say my colleague said it all, and then we, you know, continue talking when we do these things. But, you know, I was struck when I was listening to you present page by page the annual report from last year when we were looking at this, and it reminded me, you know, you get so busy doing things, you sort of forget in totality all that isn't accomplished within a year. And it reminds me, you know, policing is not, it's not an easy profession. I mean, there are challenges every single day. The pandemic, I think they're getting, you know, it's more acute. We've talked extensively about, you know, challenge in the community, you know, with social issues, whether it's, you know, mental health or homelessness, and all of these things are intertwined with often the Waterloo Regional Police Service leading the way, leading by, you know, being there and being active participants to find solutions to some of these really, in strategy, we call them wicked problems. There's no easy path to figure out what it is you can do. And I think, you know, if you look at where we are now, what we came through with the pandemic, the leadership that, you know, you've shown as policing has become more and more and more challenging over the past number of years. And the resources that required are becoming more expensive, and, you know, more expensive, but also you know, more helpful in terms of the technologies that we have available to, you know, to ensure justice for citizens and safe policing in our community. So just thank you for everything that you have done. I know, you know, in conversations, I know how dear policing is to you, I think, as Ian said, and Carl, you know, it is the RCMP are very smart to recruit you to help them with, you know, some of the issues and challenges that they are facing. It is a loss for our area, but I know that we have a depth of talent here as well in the service that we can draw on as we go forward. So thank you again so much for everything that you have done. People don't see, you know, this is not a 9-to-5 job. It's a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week. I know you say it's a labor of love, but I know for you and your family that, you know, sometimes it takes you away from your family. And so just, you know, on behalf of myself and the community, thank you for all of the personal time and energy and love that you've put into policing and into this community.
So Rosita, I know you're going to have something insightful to say. You always do.
Well, I'm a woman of simple words, so I can only say a few words, okay? But thank you, Chief, for looking after the whole community and our board as well. On a personal side, I just want you not to do emails at 4 a.m. in the morning, especially Ontario time, so that the people in Vancouver can rest. And good luck in your job in RCMP. I hope we'll meet again sometime in Waterloo region. We'll surely miss you a lot. Hopefully we'll see you before you take off to Ottawa, but come back this way, okay? Thank you.
So I would add, excuse me, just a couple of words, and I would say, Chief, this is somewhat bittersweet. The annual report, I would tell you, was outstanding, really depicting the variety and the vast issues that are balanced through this police service. You referenced the pandemic, and I think back to the pandemic, which now looks like early days, and we happened as a board and with your leadership to hire 2 amazing deputies. And they have certainly helped us navigate this uncharted water. You told me when you were going to retire that you would work till the last day, and you are, and that is so much your nature. I was recently with you at a couple of community events, and the warmth with which you were greeted, and even some of the challenges. I remember one particular lady was taking you aside, and it looked like she was trying to school you in a few things. And so many people in the community that see you not only as a friend, but as a mentor. And I think that really speaks to your character and your commitment. We have already referenced the recent badging ceremony, and I would have to tell you the caliber of the recruits and the fact that they reflect the diversity of this community, I think, is a real testament to the strategic planning and the succession planning that is so evident in the leadership throughout this service. You're leaving this service stable, very much, I would tell you, in the midst of a culture change. The equity, diversity, and inclusion work has been absolutely outstanding. I look at many of the board members that were here in the last board before we got these amazing new recruits on our board, and we all went through unconscious bias. And from the very get-go, we were leaning into some hard issues that we needed to be changed, and that was all done with your leadership. You're a man of great character and a man of great energy, but I have to caution you, it seems to me like you are retiring from the frying pan and going into the fire. So as much as the nation and RCMP will benefit from your hard work, your innovation, and your leadership, we wish you well, because I know there will be many challenges there. And again, I know you will continue to work to the very last day you are here. This is not your last day. It's just your last board meeting. So thank you for the legacy that you're leaving for us to build upon. And I would just also like to inform the media that when we're adjourned, they're welcome to stay on the Zoom, and Sherry Greeno will field any questions, if there are any questions for you at this juncture. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this time. Moved by Carl, seconded by Karen. Please show your support by raising your hand. Thank you, board colleagues, and